Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Super Bowl 54 Prop Extravaganza. Joining me on the line to break this all down from DailyRoto.com and host of the TakeCast, guaranteed to pick some losers, Davis Mattek. What's up?
Dude, I'm very, very excited for this Super Bowl. Obviously getting the sweat out Patrick Mahomes is going to be fantastic. And, I think that this is a Super Bowl where I feel confident that I'm going to have more money at the end of Sunday than I do to start Sunday.
Yeah, that's never a great way to approach any week.
Well, I mean, most Super Bowls, I come into it with the mindset of like, okay, I'm gonna get down all these money on props. I'm gonna bet the game. Probably going to bet some horrible matchups on the Sunday of the Waste Management Open. And I'm just trying to minimize the losses. But, I mean, I also the fact is, I got a fair number of Chiefs futures that I've bet over the course of the year. So, if the Chiefs win this game, it's going to be a good day for me.
I was discussing on the Wednesday show with Cust and Jeff that I also have a Kansas City future that I can just hedge out of right now and make some decent cash. And I'm thinking about letting it ride, although that's what Cust advised me to do, although he picked San Francisco. So now I'm really at odds about what's going on.
Well, I mean, knowing that Cust picked San Francisco, that makes me feel pretty good. I am pretty much generally team no hedge, unless it's like, a super significant amount of money, like life-changing amounts of money, then maybe hedge out. But I would assume you're going to have a much more enjoyable experience watching this game. Just letting that Chiefs future ride.
Yeah, I that's the way that I'm leaning right now. I guess I'll tell the people what I'm doing. Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I end up doing. Whatever people want to do is what they should be doing. One way that you can actually get at a Super Bowl weekend with some cash in your hand is smashing the like button for the video, leaving your DraftKings handle in the comment section, and telling me your favorite prop for the Super Bowl. Boom, you're in a draw for 20 DraftKings dollars, winners announced on Monday show. Or if you subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast, leave a 5-star review, DraftKings handle, and something you enjoy about this show, you'll be in a draw for 100 DraftKings dollars. Again, winners announced on Monday's Pat Mayo Experience. What do you guys got going on at DailyRoto.com for actual player props? Do you have anything like that? Because I had Drewby on the show yesterday. Highly recommend everyone go check that out. Talking about the DraftKings Showdown contest. And if you use the promo code ThePME, you get yourself 10% off over there. But is there a betting side to this that I can utilize the tools for?
Yeah, so over on sportsgrid.com, actually, which is the parent site to Daily Roto, we have the full player prop breakdown, which is fed into by the Daily Roto model. But also, what I recommend that people do is go to your individual book, pull up the player props, and go through it using the Daily Roto output model. So when you go into Daily Roto in the projections, it's set to custom output, and you just want to have it set to just straight output, and that'll give you rushing yards, receiving yards, receptions, carries, pass attempts, so on and so forth. Because what I've noticed is actually a lot of these books have, discrepancies in terms of their player props because they have different stat providers giving them the lines. Like DraftKings and FanDuel have some slight differences, but some of the offshore books and some of the books that you have available to you in Canada, Pat, they have, numbers that are, 5 yards off, a whole reception off, a whole carry off, than is what is available in the States. So that there are a lot of very good arbitrage opportunities here.
Yeah, so I definitely do think that shopping across books, if you have that access to you, is definitely the way to go. For the purposes of this show, we're going to try to keep it consistent. So if you have a book with better odds, I don't really want to hear, well, over here, that is 1 yard less or a half catch less. Like, I don't care. We're doing a show.
You don't love those comments. You don't love when just all the responses are, you got the worst number. You're the worst. You don't understand how this goes, Pat.
Yeah, and I would like to respond, just, you don't know how this works. Like, do you think the entire show, me and you were sitting here, like, searching 8 different sites looking for the best line? You can do that on your own fucking time.
Spoiler, we don't have 19 different books up with an Excel spreadsheet mapping out, trying to create a synthetic hold across all the books. We likely, what I do when I'm on a show is I have one book pulled up, the book wherever I have the most money at the time, so that if something comes up that I like, I can bet it while I'm doing the show.
Oh, I fully expect to be making a few bets here as we go along. So let's jump into it and let's talk about MVP to start. Your guy, Mike Leone, actually hit this last year with Julian Edelman, but so far right now you got Patrick Mahomes. He comes in at even money to win MVP. Jimmy G is plus 250. Mostart is 7-1. Then it's Hill and Kelsey and Kittle, all 14-1. Dame Williams, 16. Bosa, 22. Debo, 25. Sanders, 33. Same as Watkins. Then you have like the Colemans, the Shermans, the Hardmans, the Bredas. They're all like 66-1 and beyond. Do you have any particular lean in this, or is this a stay away?
So I think this is actually probably the market. If you were going to say, okay, there's one market for you to bet on the Super Bowl that you could expect to be profitable, and this specific one, I think it would be the MVP market. If you just bet Kelsey, Tyreek, and Damian, so you just bet those three guys, and you put, maybe a quarter unit on each of them, I would imagine that you would end. I think that is plus EV. I think that, far and away the most likely scenario for this game is that the Kansas City Chiefs win and, Patrick Mahomes wins the MVP. But, a nuclear game from Travis Kelsey, maybe a punt return from Tyreek Hill, and then, a long touchdown in the receiving game as well. Or, what we've seen with Damian Williams is in the playoffs, in the red zone, he is really the top option. Like, he could score 4 touchdowns in this game. He scored 3 touchdowns against the Patriots last year. And, in that scenario, he would win the MVP. So I really like betting on those, primary Chiefs weapons. And then also, some of these books have crazy numbers on San Francisco 49ers defenders. So, D Ford is an option. There are a lot of 49ers defenders who are really low. And I think if the 49ers win, it's a low scoring game. So I would want to bet on a defender, not on Jimmy G.
It's tough, though, when it comes to the 49ers defender. Like, Bosa is wildly overvalued in the MVP market just because what he would have to do in order to win MVP don't actually match the odds against, he can do one thing, but the offense, like if Mostart scores 3 touchdowns and all of a sudden he's going to end up winning MVP. Like, it takes such a ridiculous game for a defender to win MVP. I think it's really hard to peg down.
So if you were going to wager on a defensive player to win MVP, you should bet like 6 or 7 of them. So you should bet D Ford, you should bet Eric Armstead, you should bet DeForest Buckner, you should bet Fred. Like, I literally do not even know who these guys are. But just a wide range of just a wide range of these San Francisco defenders.
Yeah, if you want to go down the list and go to that particular spot, you can have like. Where's Witherspoon at?
At the book that I'm looking at, he is super low. He might even be in the field.
Yeah, he's a part of the field for me in this one. So, like, it'd be a player like that. Like, it's hard to take, like, the biggest name defender who's overvalued in the odds market and be like, well, that guy's going to win. I know it happened with Von Miller once, but you don't generally see it. Like, if it's going to be a defensive player, it tends to be like a random defensive player because they have 2 pick sixes. And it's not going to be Sherman because Sherman's not going to have 2 pick sixes. He's not going to have a pick six.
It's not going to be Sherman because remember who votes on this. The boomer writers vote on this. It's not guys like me or you who are voting on this. It's like 63-year-old guys who have Bob Kraft's cell phone number up in the press booth who are voting on this. So Richard Sherman is not winning this.
Okay, let's talk about first touchdown because I actually did make a wager on this, and I'm trying to find a San Francisco guy to pair him up with. I went with DeMarcus Robinson, 33-1 to score the first touchdown. He scores the first touchdown, once or twice a year. In this game, I like the fact that he's a part of their red zone packages, and it just seems with the way that the offense and defense is constituted in this game, it does seem like there's going to be a soft spot for him somewhere like 5 yards over the middle if they get in close enough that they're not just handing it off to Damian Williams.
So I am not betting on any DeMarcus Robinson props because I'm betting on McCole Hardman props. And those two guys are inversely correlated. So, if they're very rarely on the field at the same time and their playing time comes at the expense of one another. And in the conference championship game, D-Rob played one of his season low in snaps. McCole played his season high in snaps. So I'm completely off of D-Rob props.
I guess I would say that, in between the 20s, I think we get a lot more Hardman if they are, not even in between the 20s. From their own goal line to the 20, I think you see more Hardman than you see Demarcus Robinson. Like, McCole Hardman's going to score one. It's going to be a deep one. It's going to rarely be from in close.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is reasonable. Like, I don't think that this is a horrible bet. I'm also seeing that number at other places at like 15-1, so 33-1 for D-Rob. That's fine by me.
Yeah, I mean, I just said I didn't want to go like site shopping, but this is the kind of the big difference in this one, because I initially had found it at 25-1 at one place, and then at a commonly used wagering location for almost everybody, he is 33-1.
So there you go. I mean, it's like we don't need to act like you and I are like freaking Jimmy the Greek. We don't have to give the best number on everyone, but if there's a great number out there, we might as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, you can find this number, but it's like a place where only me and like 3 other people can find it. This is a very commonly used place that I think people can find.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, anyone on the San Francisco side, you think you would bet first touchdown?
So there is one San Francisco first touchdown that I think is sort of interesting, and that would just be Kyle Juszczyk at 20-1. If you wanted, I don't think it's great. The first touchdown bet I actually made was Blake Bell, Kansas City Chiefs, 40-1. I that was the one that I bet.
Oh, you're getting hosed on these numbers. The site that I primarily use is just offering way better numbers on all this stuff.
I mean, here's the thing. Most sites can offer horrible numbers for this because they're just going to get bet regardless. Like Kendrick Bourne went from being 4-1 for anytime touchdown to 2.5-1 anytime touchdown, and it's still getting bet.
Yeah, like I see him at plus 275 right now. Like, he was my initial lean for San Francisco, but I don't know if I like 20-1 in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, like that right there is just an example of like, these are mostly horrible numbers, but they're still going to get bet because people love to get action down on the Super Bowl.
Are you betting heads or tails? Because that was one of Cuss' best bets, tails.
Oh, tails is one of his bet. No, I've never wagered on this, and I probably never will.
Nah, as I described to him, like, why wouldn't you just turn to someone who's sitting next to you and be like, hey, let's bet $100, let's flip a coin. That way you're not paying vig.
I mean, does Cuss even understand the concept of hold, though? Like, actually?
I don't know.
I'm going to wager that he does not. That he just, and it's not ever something that he thinks about.
Well, that would be, let's say, I'd say no on that would actually be like minus 150.
I would take that. That would be a favorable proposition for me. Ask him that on the next Cuts Corner.
Yeah, that's a pretty sharp take, and a pretty sharp number too if you want to go to Mayo's betting book. Speaking of sharp, sharpfootballanalysis.com. Warren Sharp did a comprehensive preview of this game. I consumed it over the week. I think everyone should go check that out. Did you get a chance to read it?
It's in my email inbox. I have not read it yet though.
I don't want to step on it too much, but a lot of it was, he always preaches, his custom analytic early down success rate. And the way that he has kind of spelled it out is, there's many paths for the 49ers to win. There's many paths for the Chiefs to win. These teams are pretty close, but the success and game plan that the Chiefs actually have is kind of like kryptonite for the San Francisco defense. I'm very curious to see how this ends up working out.
I mean, I generally, the take that I have for this game is that the Kansas City Chiefs, they're probably going to get up early. They're going to get up 10-0, 14-0, whatever, because their offense they're crazy. Like, they're just so good. And, they are one of the best teams in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes' 2-year career in terms of, opening drive success, because Andy Reid is so good at those scripted plays. Like, his scripted drives, they're just engineered to get points up on the board right away. And this game, I think, has the ability to really put Jimmy G under the microscope. What are the 49ers going to do when they can't just get 7 yards per carry running the ball? But if the 49ers get up early, I think that, of course, it's a much more difficult matchup for Kansas City than the Titans or the Texans were. Like, I think that they could struggle a little bit. And, it felt like Mahomes against the Titans just had all day to throw. It felt like he barely was under pressure. That's not going to be the case against the 49ers. He's going to have to be doing a lot of, quick decision making.
Do you have any idea about how correlated your props are going to be? Like, when you bet these props for a game like the Super Bowl, not like a one-off prop during a game, like if you're playing like 4 or 5,
Right.
do they all bleed into each other? Like, well, if you bet the Hardman over in receptions, do you then bet the under in DeMarcus Robinson in receptions, knowing that they could take away from each other?
100%. I mean, maybe not that specific example, but like I'm trying to correlate my props as much as I can. So, I have Kansas City -1.5, and I have them on the money line at -120. So I'm not going to be betting the under on Jimmy G pass attempts or the under on, San Francisco passing yards. Like I'm going to be betting the over on Emmanuel Sanders receiving yards. I'm going to be betting the over on Damian Williams rushing yards. I'm just going to be kind of thinking about how do I think this game script is going to play out. And I mean, it is worth noting there are some sports books out there who are, in big time customer acquisition mode, who are allowing you to not only make correlated bets, but actually legitimately parlay correlated bets for the Super Bowl, which is, I mean, it's real. Like it's one of the biggest money making opportunities you'll find.
Oh yeah, if you can correlate props together, like you should be like I enjoy playing parlays because they are fun. They are definitely not a money maker by any stance. And most weeks during the NFL, like if you have a particular take on a game, you can parlay props together, but you can parlay one prop from one game with one prop from another game and one prop from another game. If you're able to correlate all your props together, I would actually highly recommend doing those parlays. It's a lot like the make the cut parlays at the Masters. Like there are a few times a year where parlays actually become a plus EV bet.
So this is definitely a time. And, in general, I kind of think that parlays get a bad rap. Like I especially if you're using it as a way to, just get more volume down. Like I bet you do this when you go to bet golf matchups for a tournament or for the day. Do you bet all of them individually and then also parlay them all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course I do. But
Imagine,
I shouldn't because I never win them.
But imagine going 6 for 6 on round 3 head-to-head bets at the Waste Management Open and not parlaying them. Like imagine how much you would have cost yourself. Like it's like that's like a huge mistake. I always throw down like 0.1 unit parlays on my head-to-head matchup bets. Always.
Yeah. The thing that people get into the problem with is, let's say they do bet 5 matchups or 5 props, and you can parlay them together. It's that they'll bet, let's say, $25 a prop, but then the parlay they do is also $25. So if you don't hit
do
it,
that. That's bad.
But that's actually what people do.
Well, Pat, I'm not responsible for what people actually do. I can only be responsible for what I say on the airwaves, which is that people should not do that.
All right, let's talk about some quarterback props. So we have Jimmy G over under 238.5 passing yards. Patrick Mahomes 302 for passing touchdowns, 1.5 for Jimmy. 2.5 for Mahomes, and that's been juiced up to plus 120. Most of all of these are minus 120 on either side because the VIG is big on these people. Jimmy G passing attempts over 35.5, Mahomes 36.5. Jimmy G over 19.5 completions, Patrick Mahomes over 25.5 completions. Longest pass completion over 36.5 yards for Jimmy, 45.5 for Mahomes, and each of them are over under 0.5 interceptions. The over for Jimmy G has been juiced up to minus 160, and it's even on both sides at minus 120 for Patrick Mahomes. Any of those stand out to you? Because I kind of like the over Jimmy G 30.5 pass attempts.
Over on Jimmy G passing attempts and the over on Jimmy G passing yards. And this is the example that I was thinking of when I was talking about correlated bets. If your sports book, because they're in customer acquisition mode, allows you to parlay Kansas City minus 1.5 or the money line with Jimmy G passing overs, those are, to me, those are the number one money making bets that you can make on the Super Bowl this year, because those are about the most correlated bets I think that you could make. And I, even without the correlation, even without being able to parlay them, I like the over on both of those.
I guess it depends on how you think the game is going to go. If you think that San Francisco wins this game and and the under also hits, so I mean, that's probably something you could throw into it too. If you want to play the under on both of those, you'd probably just parlay the under in the game too, because if San Francisco gets up and they win the game, even 24-21, it would just seem to me like that would be a big rushing day, and Jimmy G just gets treated like he did in the other playoff games where we'll unleash you if we have to and we need it. But if we don't have to and we can effectively run the ball, which if the Niners get up, they should be able to do against the Chiefs pretty effectively, that he's just not going to throw.
Yeah, it's so again, it's the way that you should be making all these bets should be correlated to how you think that the game is going to go, and not even so. Like the line is telling us that the Kansas City Chiefs are the slightly superior team, and the line is telling us that this is going to be a game that we expect to err on the side of higher scoring because the total opened at 53, immediately jumped to 53.5. Earlier in the week, moved to 54. It's now sitting at 54.5. Now. I've seen it bandied about that some people think that the sharp money is going to come in a little bit later on the 49ers and on the under. I kind of think, whatever, like these guys who are going to try and get, millions of dollars down on this game, they probably have already made a wager, and the line is not going to move that much either way. So I think that the market is also telling us there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. And when that happens, generally it comes from throwing rather than passing.
I guess the one counter to that would be because there's so much public money on the Super Bowl, and there's a lot of public money on football to begin with, but this week in particular, you have your random people who want to, now that gambling is legalized in their state, they want to go out and, throw their $100 or $500 on whatever it is. And I would feel like most of the casual bettors are like, over, let's go, because people want to root for overs.
Yeah, I mean, I actually am not, the Super Bowl is one of those games where the sharp money is probably a lot harder to weed out because it's like literally billions of dollars are going to be waged on this game, and the books and the casinos, they're not trying to be in a position where they just want to hold the right line. Like they got to move a little bit with the casual money so that if one side comes in, they don't get wrecked. I think the last example I can remember of money just pouring in on one side and the books not moving things at all was the Panthers Broncos Super Bowl, where just every idiot you knew, including myself, wanted to bet on the Panthers, but the line just stayed steady with the Broncos the entire time.
Oh, yeah, I was also one of those idiots who bet on the Panthers. That was not fun. But right now I'm looking at it, and it's really, these numbers are really dubious because they could be absolute fabrications. But from what I'm looking at right now, it does seem like the money is about split, like 54% to 46%, slightly in favor of the Chiefs. But on the over-under, it's just like a lot of cash on the over.
Yeah, because people want to bet, people want to bet the over. People want to bet the over on props. People want to see points, right? Like we saw from the reaction to the Super Bowl last year. It's just pretty much worst case, a 13-3 Super Bowl. Like literally, no one's happy with that.
Unless you bet the under, I suppose.
Who's betting? Like, do you ever know anyone who's? I can't bet unders, dude. Who can do that?
I bet that was I actually did really well with the Super Bowl last year because it just struck me that if this game was going to go under, and mainly because McVay versus Belichick, I feel like you'd shut him down just a little bit, and everyone I knew just talked about how the over's a lock, and that number was super high last year, not as high as this one, but it was pretty close.
I don't think that I bet the under last year, but I'm sure I had the over on the props, and I know I bet the Rams in the Super Bowl last year, which is just tough scenes.
All right, let's talk about some wide receiver and running back props right now. So over-under yardage for these guys. Kendrick Bourne, 23.5. Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah, I like the over there.
Oh, you do like the over. So when I say yes or no, is this something you're going to bet?
Oh, yeah, I already bet this one.
Okay,
but I bet it at 21, but I still like it at 23.
Why do you like Kendrick Bourne in this spot?
I think that they are going to be playing more 11 personnel rather than 12 personnel. So that just means, more Kendrick Bourne than Ross Dwelly or Levi Toilolo, basically, because, again, this all comes back to my thesis. They're going to have to pass more than they run in this game. So I think, and we've seen that Shanahan loves to design these screenplays to like Richie James or Kendrick Bourne, depending on who's in the game at the time. And those are just generally good for 15 yards every time.
One where I think I might actually bet the under because the only thing I've heard all week is how people love the over for Kyle Juszczyk over 12.5 receiving yards.
I like that. I like that as an under, just as an FU to the people. I wouldn't bet that one, but I do like the thought process.
But every single, like, even you kind of hit it, like, right off the top, like, first touchdown, that kind of thing. Like, for whatever reason, he's in the minds of everybody. And if that's going to be the case, like, they can basically just use him as, like, a prop out there on the field. Like, if everyone's talking about it, obviously KC is probably pretty hip to the fact that they might run something tricky, maybe a wheel route with Kyle Juszczyk that they just won't do.
Let me tell you this, Pat. So Jimmy G, in the game where he tore his ACL, he comes to Kansas City. And I was there, end zone seats, you know, one of the best Kansas City games I've ever been to. I think they won by like 30 points or something. But after Jimmy G got injured in that game, CJ Beathard came in, and the 49ers ran a play where the quarterback pitched it to Matt Breida, and then Matt Breida became the option quarterback and pitched it to Juszczyk, and he scored. And it was the coolest play I've ever seen, and it happened about 10 feet in front of my face, and I'll literally never forget it. And I'm just waiting for them to bust that play out in this game.
Well, if they did that against the Chiefs the last time that they played, you think the Chiefs would be pretty hip to it?
It's the reverse trap, though. They never would expect it, right? You never expect them to go back to the same trick.
Kittle over under 73.5 receiving yards.
Well, I mean, we're jamming the over on Kittle. Like that's the squarest bet of all the player props. The squarest bet you can make is George Kittle overs.
So probably just stay away then.
I have not bet this one, but our stuff at Daily Roto does like the over.
I feel like if it's going to be 73.5 for Kittle every single week, like you're going to win that 60% of the times that you bet it all year. But it's not like the under is, it's not inconceivable that the under hits. I mean, the under hit last game that he played.
I mean, the under hit on the last two, if I recall things correct. I mean, I think he only had 3 catches for like 20 yards or something in the Minnesota game. It's like they just haven't really needed to throw the ball, right? They've just been grinding teams down on the ground. Like
I think I would prefer the Kelsey over 76.5 to Kittle over 73.5, only because I don't understand a script where Kelsey's not a part of it. If they're winning or they get up by a bunch, Kelsey is going to be used. If they get down by a bunch, Kelsey is going to be used. If the Niners get up by a bit, like Kittle's just going to be blocking the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, Kittle is certainly more likely to be written out of the game script than Kelsey is. So some books offer the matchups, Kelsey versus Kittle, and those are minus 115 both sides. But if you feel that way, you should bet that Kelsey side.
Might take a peek here. I like the Juszczyk under 12.5 is the only one I'm in on so far. But you have Debo 55.5, Emmanuel Sanders 45.5. The one problem with Debo is that they'll try to use him on reverses and things like that.
He'll get as a rushing yards.
Yeah, and those won't count towards your total. And I just feel like Emmanuel Sanders is being criminally overlooked in this game. And he kind of hits all the soft spots of where the Kansas City defense isn't really up to snuff. Like, on the outsides, they're really good, but Sanders is going to be patrolling the middle a lot. And if they have to focus a lot of their attention on Kittle to shut him down and prevent these big plays, like, Manny just might be wide open over the middle of the field.
Yeah, so I bet all the Manny Sanders props. Manny anytime to score, Manny over receiving yards, Manny over receptions, and the juice on them is all pretty bad now.
It's not. I'm looking at it right now. Emmanuel Sanders over 3.5 receptions plus 120. The under minus 160.
Bet it right now. Like literally, while we're on the show, bet it right now.
Click.
Those are per the Daily Roto tools. The Manny Sanders props are they are all the best value props.
McCole Hardman over 21.5 receiving yards. I'm curious to see what his longest reception is. Longest reception.
It's 12. It's 12. I bet that one last night.
That seems really low. Like, I don't love Hardman in this game, but I mean, if he has a catch, it's likely to be for more than 12 yards.
Unless it's one of those little pop passes that they do where the motion guy comes across and he just gets it flipped to him. That's the scenario where it's under 12 yards.
They're not even offering him on my book. I think that they know that, the big play potential for him is there, and they don't want to, set his over under longest reception at 24.5, yet his over under receiving yards at 12.5.
Yeah. I mean, these Manny Sanders props are crazy, dude. I'm betting more of them right now.
I can't believe it's plus money. Or just like, is it like a secret thing that like the numbers like Emmanuel Sanders in this matchup a lot, and just people don't because he hasn't been highly utilized? But no one in this passing game has been highly utilized over the past 2 weeks or past 2 games.
He's being he's being treated like he is like the third wide receiver or whatever.
I mean, you could make a case that he is the third passing option behind Kittle and Debo, I suppose, but I'd say he's more like 2A or 2B.
Yeah, I mean, I would say him and Debo are, depending on game script, like they are 2A and 2B behind Kittle. Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, 75.5. I have no real take on this because it feels like it's going to be 160 or 50.
My take on Tyreek would be that he generally does best in these hyper competitive games. And I think that he is more likely to get extra targeted in this game. Basically, like I think that this could be, you know, maybe his second or third highest target share game of the season. And so I do like his overs. The Daily Roto numbers do not agree with me as much.
So he's 75.5. Kelsey's 76.5. Like I mentioned, I'd prefer Kelsey over 76.5 than Hill over 75.5.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
I just feel like that's a more consistent hit. Like, obviously, when Hill has a big game, I would almost rather take an adjusted number on Tyreek Hill where it's like over under 130 receiving yards.
Is that available at your book?
You know, it's not, but I know that like those alternative props do exist in some places. I haven't seen it yet, but like if you could do a thing where you can just juice it up and like you can get plus money for him just to have a gigantic game, that seems like a better bet than trying to like how often I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe it's just, you know, my mind playing tricks on me or a narrative that I believe. But like how often does Tyreek Hill end up with like 74 yards receiving?
No, I completely agree with you. That feels like so like that's the difference between median and mean, right? And we certainly think that it's more likely for him to be over that, whereas like he's actually ending up around that number a very low percentage of the time. So it's like either he has like 34 receiving yards or like 156.
Yeah, I mean, 34 seems pretty low, but I want to say like 50 to 60. Like he'd come into the under so many times, but the over is always beat by like 40 to 50 yards.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
So Demarcus Robinson, 20.5. Sammy Watkins, 48.5. Damian Williams, 29.5. That Damian Williams number is pretty spicy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Damian overs though. We are in. I mean, he's played over 80% of the snaps in the playoffs. LaShawn McCoy might not even be active for this game. It's gonna be the Damian show, and I think that you know, because the 49ers, they do bring so much pressure, I actually think that Damian is going to have a little bit of an expanded role in the passing game here.
So here's something strange. Looking at all the reception props for the receivers and running backs, all the Niners guys minus George Kittle are basically plus money or even. So you have 2.5 for Bourne, 1.5 for Juszczyk, which is strange because like the over was bet up for his yardage, but the under for his reception total at 1.5 is like just a really strange correlation. So Kittle 5.5 is minus 140. So you have Mostert 1.5, Debo 4.5 plus 110, Sanders 3.5 plus 120. Like those are, if you can figure out who they're going to go through, it does seem like they are going to be passing in this game.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that you know, again, it goes back to our conversation of just having a clear path to how you think this game goes will help you make these bets, because there are good, like relatively plus EV numbers to be had out there if you have a you know, a strong opinion on how you expect things to go.
I 1.5 is the number for Demarcus Robinson. I'm just looking. He's had one catch each of. How has he been doing here? So he has 2 catches. He had 2 catches against Tennessee, 1 against Houston. That's not great. What's the Hardman one then? The Hardman one is 1.5 at even money.
Come on, easy money, dude. Easy money.
I don't know. There's something about that number I don't love.
We have him projected for 1.85 receptions at dailyroto.com, so do with that what you will. I bet the over.
Okay. DeMarcus, Sammy Watkins over 3.5. That's juiced up. Tyreek Hill over 5.5 is actually even money.
So 5.5, so 6 receptions cashes. Yeah. I mean, over.
Yeah, I don't hate that one either because the Kelsey one is 6.5. And again, that feels like he's going to smash it or come in way under.
Yeah, I think that the overs that are good and not that I'm just betting because I'm betting for reason are Tyreek and Damian, and I think that Kelsey is about right, and you could bet it if you want to sweat, but don't feel that you're missing value if you're not betting it.
All right, so in conclusion from these ones, I have over 44.5 Emmanuel Sanders yards, over 3.5 receptions, and under 12.5 yards for use check. And you have like 800 of these, right?
I just actually while we were here, I just rebet Manny Sanders. I doubled down on Manny overs. And then I have Tyreek. I have Tyreek over. I have Tyreek for most receptions in the game. That's a special market that I don't know if all books have, but some books should have it. And then I have the over on Damian 3 receptions and Damian. I think it's 20.5 receiving yards.
Okay, so rushing yards, rushing props. We have Jimmy Garoppolo.
Bang these Mostert unders. Bang them under. It's
73.5 rushing yards, or
that's insane.
Or you can go under 84.5 combined yards.
So basically, the reason you'd be betting a Mostert under is you just think, okay, Tevin's going to play a little bit, maybe Breida plays a little bit, and they're not going to be able to run 40 times. I think the Mostert props are just like Mostert is a starting running back. Tevin's not going to play at all, and that just feels like a very low percentile outcome.
What do you make of the Tevin Coleman injury? Do you think it's going to be fine for the game?
So it seems like it's one of those binary things. Like either he's healthy enough to play or he's not. It's because it's like a shoulder joint, right? So it's either like, okay, you're going to be able to play or you're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
You're not a doctor? That blows my mind.
Not right? I know. I seem so educated on these shows.
Yeah, of course. But you also have to deal with the circumstance too, and maybe this leads to more Breida overs. But if Coleman comes in dinged up and he plays, his chance for, I would assume, re-injury is higher. That you get this, Coleman is active. Coleman's actually in on the first series. You're like, my Mostert, Colonel Mostert. He's not solving anything right now. He's guilty of being on the bench and hitting all these unders. And then, Coleman's out after 2 plays, and Mostert just runs train.
So what's really funny is that the books anticipated this when they set all of Breida's lines. So Breida is plus 200 to score. There's not a single good Breida price out there because they're pricing it like Tevin could get re-injured really quickly. So I would love to bet on Breida props, but there's not one good Breida bet out there. So the way to anticipate that is just to bet Mostert unders.
So yeah, so if that would be another correlation too. If you come into I would bet that the parlays are probably capped if you can correlate prop parlays. But if you wanted to do,
for sure, you can't get more down than $25, I bet.
But even so, if you can put 3 things together that are all somewhat correlated, or 4 things together, you could go Mostert under receiving catches, yardage, rushing yards, total yards, and rushing attempts, and just hope he has a bad game.
Yeah, or you hope that he just is not the main guy, right? And that feels very, very much in the realm of outcomes, right?
If Jeff Wilson is somehow active for this game,
active,
he's a first touchdown bet or anytime touchdown bet, right?
100%. Yeah. So if Tevin is inactive, literally the first thing I would do is I would go bet Jeff Wilson. I think he's 40-1 for first touchdown.
Oh, I think he's way lower than that, isn't he?
Again, depends on the book.
Jeff Wilson 50-1. I got him at, and that actually seems high for a guy who probably won't be active for this game.
Yeah, do you get your money back if he's not active?
I doubt it.
Tough scenes. If your book gives you money back if a guy is inactive, I would bet this right now just because that's a good sweat.
It's a good sweat, and I would probably take the anytime touchdown prop for him as well. It's 50-1 to be first touchdown. It's 12-1 anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I love that. I really do because they just Jeff Wilson will score in this game if he's active. You can take that to the bank.
I wouldn't say take it to the bank that he will score. He'll get an opportunity from in close to score.
Yeah.
Because he always does.
Right.
I don't know why he always does, but he always does.
It's the weirdest thing that they use him as a goal line back, but I guess, whatever, I can.
So Jimmy G over under 4.5 rushing yards. The Mahomes one is so high now. It's 32.5.
Yeah, that was, so we did our Super Bowl, preview, talk show, props, whatever, with the Gilcast guys last night, and this was Sammy Reed's gold star lock was Mahomes under 32 rushing yards.
I'd be curious. I have to go look at this right now. How many times has he hit that over? I know the last time that we saw him, he hit it all on one run. That was for a touchdown. But previously to that, I know he had been running more, but
I will tell you right now. So in his career, he has rushed over 32 times on 5 occasions, and 2 of them were the last 2 weeks.
So both games in the playoffs, he had 53 yards apiece.
Well, wait, no, that is a complete lie. What I just said was absolutely a lie, but 5 times.
So, but each of the, in the past 2 games, he has 53 yards rushing in each of the games against Tennessee and Houston. Previous to that, he had
59 yards against the Chargers, 54 yards against Detroit, 52 against Oakland, 45 against Cincinnati, 33 against Seattle, and those were the other times where he has rushed for over 32 yards.
And those ones were from last year, so he's done it 4 times so far this year. And to look at it right now, 32.5 is it's even money on both sides. I don't know. I had a really strong visceral reaction to that number as soon as I saw it, because I really wanted to bet the over because I thought it was going to be like 17.5, and it just wasn't.
I mean, this is one of those things where it might lose and there might be new information that we are not incorporating, but the vast sample we have of his career is that the under is the correct bet.
I mean, I guess in desperate times when you need to start coming back, I guess Patrick Mahomes is going to do it himself if he wants to.
Yeah, I don't know if I just don't think Kansas City is going to trail in this game. I really think they're so much the better team, but the market does not agree with me, and I'm probably not that much smarter than the market.
Darwin Thompson over under 5.5 rushing yards. If McCoy is inactive, he's going to get on the field for 10% of those snaps. I don't know if he's ever going to rush the ball, but he'll have a shot at it, I think.
It's more likely to me that he would be catching the ball than rushing the ball. Right? That seems
unless
more probable.
This is just like basically a draw play on 3rd down, which they probably don't do all that much. But they want to get like super sneaky with something. You bring in Darwin Thompson, you give him a draw, and San Francisco gives up 6 yards, and then you just hope he never touches the ball the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think that is. I mean, that would be what you're hoping, is that he just busts out. He gets a rush in the second quarter, gets 12 yards, and then you never see him again.
Oh, you know what would be the most tilting way to lose this Mahomes bet is if you think Kansas City wins and he has like 34 yards or 33 yards, and then he takes 3 knees at the end of the game for -2, and then you lose.
That is the quarterback rushing bettor's worst nightmare, right? Or you're just hoping. You know what I noticed with Lamar a couple times, because he'd be very close to the 100-yard bonus. The Baltimore home scorekeeper would only give him -0.5 yard on kneels.
Okay, enough of the real props. Get to the stupid props, Davis. How much do you know about Fortnite?
I know not very much about Fortnite for someone who's young, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't think you're as young as you think anymore. Like, I noticed this the other day when I dropped my son off at daycare. And I was talking to my wife about it, and I was just like, all the parents seem so old with these like little kids. Then I remember like I'm old, and I just don't see the world that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a kid, right? Like I don't think of myself as like an average millennial. I'm 27. 27 is certainly more old than it is like young, I think.
I would say that 27 to 32, best 5 years. If I had to like power rank years, like I'm better off in the world now that I'm older than that, but those were the most fun years of my life.
I mean, I had a great time in college, so I don't know. College at like a huge school in the Midwest is a very good time.
Okay, so here's the problem, because I don't know anything about Fortnite, but it's Fortnite winning teams total points -175 against Garoppolo passing attempts +135. But we think that Garoppolo goes over in his passing attempts. I just have no idea how Fortnite is scored. So I was hoping you could shed some light.
I don't know. I don't know how competitive Fortnite is scored either.
So we need to like talk to Al about this, basically.
Yeah, I'm of no help in this. If it was like competitive FIFA or something, I could help. But I got nothing for Fortnite.
Man, there's a lot of Fortnite props. Fortnite.
There must be like a big Fortnite event happening at the same time or at the same day.
Will any TD celebration contain a Fortnite dance move? Yes, plus 250. No, minus 400.
So I don't know about the Chiefs guys. I don't know if any of them are big Fortnite dudes, but maybe the 49ers guys are. I really don't know. Like if this was like Juju Smith-Schuster, you know, if the Steelers were playing, I'd be like, oh yeah, for sure.
Or if Ninja was just randomly on the 49ers and he scored a touchdown.
Wow, look at you! Look how young you are.
I know, I'm very hip. I learned all that information with the subscription I bought with Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I think millennials. I don't think young people are in on Bitcoin anymore. I think Bitcoin is white guys aged 25 to 35. I think that's the core Bitcoin demo.
Or 35 to 45 want to seem young and have disposable income for the first time in their lives.
That could be like childless, like 38-year-olds.
Yeah, you know how I'm going to get rich? The Bitcoins.
Exactly, yeah.
But I mean, like you said, you keep, what, 98% of your life wealth in Bitcoin? Is that how I remember that?
Yeah, like 98, 99%, kind of depending on the month or how I'm feeling. You know, it's like a pretty non-volatile security. So
yeah,
you know.
well, one day you can feel super rich and feel great. The next day you can just feel super poor.
Yeah, it's like, well, also a great thing about owning a lot of Bitcoin is, you know, as the world gets worse, you are like actively rejoicing. Like people are dying of like, you know, diseases and stuff, and you're just getting richer. So that feels pretty good.
Has the Bitcoin market gone up since like the coronavirus has come around?
Yeah, as like the traditional markets have dropped, Bitcoin's gone up about $1,000.
Oh, really? Because I saw the U.S. dollar was doing really well. As a Canadian, I always pay attention to the U.S. dollar versus the Canadian dollar. Since this whole crisis has hit, the U.S. dollar has gone way up versus the Canadian dollar. So Bitcoin is up. Today, it's up $142, but over the last week, it's up about $1,500. $9,495 is the price of Bitcoin right now. I figured it was doing well because I saw people on Twitter being like, "Oh, see, I told you about Bitcoin," and then like when it goes down $2,000 next week, I'll never hear from these people again. Well, it's just this is always my cycle with Bitcoin. When it's above $10,000. I tell people I told you so. When it's below $10,000, I say that it's on sale, and that's just my constant cycle of Bitcoin. I like that. You have your built-in way to tout Bitcoin, not for Bitcoin. Although, there's the good bet of will the price of Bitcoin be more or less after the game, which is always a fun hedge because so many people are using Bitcoins to gamble on the game. Interesting. I didn't even see that prop, but any takes? I was trying to research the Puppy Bowl this morning, but I couldn't find very much information. But Puppy Bowl MVP over 17.5 weeks, plus 130. Under 17.5 weeks, minus 170. I would just take on all these where you don't know, I would just take the inflated number and just add it, right? Well, I guess my whole thing with this would be I would have to look at the ages of the puppies actually competing in the Puppy Bowl because there could be like one puppy that's over 17. And I assume that's why there's like juice on either side of this. Yeah, I mean, I would assume there's some method to the bookmaking. And if you wanted to take the 30 minutes out of your day to go research it, you could probably find it. But I'm not going to be that guy that goes and takes the 30 minutes out of my day to do it. Well, if you want to sell one of your Bitcoins, I got a bet for you, okay? So minus 7,500. So bet $7,500 to win $100 on the no of will Michael Vick tweet about the Puppy Bowl? I mean, what do you think the most money I could get down on that prop is? I don't know. Like if $25? If they listed it minus 170 or minus 7,500, shouldn't they allow you to have to bet $7,500 on it? Like, shouldn't that be available? I'm gonna guess that the limits on that prop are $100 max. Let's see. I'll click on it right now and see how much I can bet on it. See if they'll max me. I love clicking the max bet on different props just to see what the limits are. Max bet $6,000 to win 78. I dare you, Pat. I legitimately dare you. I don't know if I want to win $78 on that. Probably just rather keep the 6,000. Probably rather keep the 6,000 too. I would only bet on that if I was trying to clear a bonus. Trying to clear a bonus or like launder money?
Or launder money. Yeah, I mean, they're really the two same things, right?
Yeah, I guess so. So it's 12-1 on the other side, by the way. So maybe you can convince, if you know Mike Vick, convince him to tweet about the Puppy Bowl. The ramifications for him would be horrible, but you'd end up rich out of it, or at least with a lot more money. Will a puppy attempt to mate during the game? Yes, plus 350. No, 6-1. Minus 600, sorry.
I've never watched the Puppy Bowl before.
Neither have I, actually.
I've only read the Twitter jokes about it. I have no idea how likely this would be.
When I worked at Fantasy, we had this like goober come in from the government who was like not paid by us. He was paid by the government under salary to do like documentaries and like didn't care about sports whatsoever. It was like super into the Puppy Bowl. It was really weird. Love dogs.
That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Love dogs. Love the Puppy Bowl.
I mean, I love my dogs too, but I do not care about the Puppy Bowl.
You'd much rather watch. Well, who's performing at halftime? It's J-Lo and who?
I remember it was a big deal. Like, I remember that when people announced it, people thought it was cool.
Shakira, I think.
That sounds right to me.
Is it like we're gonna like?
I'm gonna have to okay boomer myself on this one because I don't know and I don't particularly care.
Okay, cross sport props. Alex Ovechkin on this one. Alex Ovechkin hits on Super Bowl day versus total touchdowns by the 49ers.
Over touchdowns.
Over touchdowns? I mean,
yeah.
Ovi's not afraid to throw the shoulder around.
These, by the way, if you are wanting to actually like make money instead of having fun, these cross sport ones have historically been very good, especially the basketball ones.
All right, let's talk some basketball ones though. Andre Drummond rebounds versus rushing attempts for Raheem Mostert.
I'd take the Mostert probably because I think that the rebounds will be like 12. That would be his. I bet that would be his projection. So I think Mostert gets more than 12 rushes.
Yeah, you can tell I'm looking at a Canadian book because there's like Canucks Hurricanes props versus this. Which
yeah,
I assume
yeah.
That,
I don't. I'm not gonna be your guy on those.
Yeah, I should have called back Drewby. He's big into the hockey. All right, so Greek Freak ones: points, rebounds, and assists for him versus Sammy Watkins receiving yards.
Bang the Giannis over.
Yeah, that seems like what does he go like 30, 10, and 5?
Yeah, his total
great.
rebounds assists should be like 60.
60's a lot.
I mean, well, who are they playing that day? I don't know.
I have no idea. I suppose I probably should look at it. Where are the golf ones at?
If it's a competitive, I mean, 60 is a lot, but if it's a competitive game, like 54.5 should be his projection, I'd think.
Here's one. Total hole-in-ones at the Phoenix Open, minus 120, versus total roughing the passer penalties in the Super Bowl. But fun fact, there's already been a hole-in-one. There's already been a hole-in-one at the Phoenix Open, so it's already winning 1-0 before you make this bet.
I think that I bet there will be at least one roughing the passer plus 115 last night. I think that for sure one roughing the passer gets called on Mahomes.
That's fine, but there's already losing 1-0. JB Holmes made it in the first round, made a hole-in-one.
So you think that you should bet on this and just think that one happens on Sunday with the Sunday pin placement?
I think it's probably push it worst.
Yeah. All right. Then we should bet this one.
All right. I'm gonna go into that one. Shots on goal. You like the soccers. Tottenham versus Man City. Total goals versus total field goals in the Super Bowl.
Field goals
is like
that one will be like 2-0. That game will be.
I mean, do we expect a lot of field goals? Like, we didn't talk about kicking props, but like, should we be betting gold or Butker overs?
No, I actually think that so both of their like total points props are 8.5, and I like the under on both of them.
All right, so here we go. Zion total points, rebounds, and assists against 49ers total points.
Zion over.
What has Zion been doing since he's come back? I saw he had like an awesome fourth quarter in the first game he was back, then I stopped paying attention.
Well, his minutes limit is like very slowly getting unrestricted. So I think that this game is still a couple days away from happening. So I think that the over on Zion is a lot better there than it appears.
So the problem with that, I guess, it's not specified. Like most of these are specified like on February 2nd, 2020. That golf one is not. That's what leads me to believe that it's the full tournament.
It's just the Sunday?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not specified that it is just the Sunday, but everything else is specified if it is just the Sunday, which leads me to believe that it's the entire tournament. Like, you could be up 3-0 in that by the time the game actually starts.
Yeah, that's fair. Also, that Zion bet is like, that's the best bet we've talked about. His minutes in his 4 games, he's played 18, 20, 27, and 30. So yeah, he is like, I would be smashing that Zion bet if like whatever your unit size is. I do like 3 units on that probably.
New Orleans at Houston on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh man, that is the best bet we found on this show.
So I think that Phoenix Open one is good. So Zion over San Francisco total points. So Zion points, assists, and rebounds over. See, I like these ones. I'm glad we got into this stuff. Demi Lovato. Will she be wearing a skirt, dress, or gown to sing the national anthem? Yes, -175. No, +135. So I guess it's Hillary pantsuit or not. Or no clothes, I suppose.
I don't really know who she is.
Okay, boomer. You were just talking about how young you were.
I mean, if it was like some SoundCloud rapper doing this, I would have an opinion, but I don't really know Demi Lovato.
Okay. I don't either because I'm actually old and don't know this stuff and don't listen to music. National anthem. How long will it take her to sing the national anthem? I've
heard under is the bet.
I've heard under is the bet too, and this is super juiced on both sides. So over 2 minutes and 4 seconds, -125. Under 2 minutes and 4 seconds, -115.
Yeah. So what I saw someone tweet this the other day that she's done the national anthem 6 times and 4 times it's been under 2 minutes flat.
So under, may have to lean under in that one. That's a fun one to sweat. If people want to like bet the coin toss, that's one thing. That is a fun one to sweat out because everyone secretly bets on this.
I will not bet on this.
See, I will be in a public place watching this game because I like to go out and make a day of watching the end of the golf and leading it into the Super Bowl, and I'm usually like dejected by the time that golf actually stops. However, it does seem to me, at least based on my experience from where I go the past few years, is that people have their phones out with the timers trying to get this down, and there's like a big cheer or like a big afterwards.
I will bet it if there's like inside info or something. But if I'm just like randing, I'd rather make random bets on like the game.
I'm putting that on a tentative list right now. Oh, you can like do the other one too. There's like an adjusted line on this. National anthem. How long will it take? Over 2 minutes, -230. Under 2 minutes, +160.
Yeah, I think I'd probably rather do that one.
And bet the under.
Yeah.
Okay. Will Demi Lovato forget or omit a word from the national anthem? Yes, +350. No, -600.
I mean, I'd rather on all of these that are non-scientific, you just take the plus money. That's how I would think about it.
If it was Davis Mattek and he had to sing the national anthem right now, would you miss or omit a word?
For sure.
When was the last time When was the last time you were patriotic?
When I was like 10, probably. I don't even know. Whenever before the first time I smoked weed was, probably.
Distance of longest penalty in the game. Over 15.5 yards.
Oh, bang me over. Kansas City gets 1 defensive pass interference in this game, guaranteed.
It's -250, though. That's a lot of juice.
I don't care. I mean, it's like a lock, though.
All right. How many public Instagram posts will Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend post on Super Bowl day, the entire day of February 2nd? Over 4.5 -120, under 4.5 -120.
Dude, people hate her.
I don't even know who she is. Who is she?
I don't even know her name, but I know that people hate her. Like people are very toxic about Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend on Twitter.
All right, this one sounds like it was written by Cust. How many TikToks will Patrick Mahomes' brother make on February 2nd? Over 5.5 is -175. The under is +135.
I've heard he's a big TikTok star guy, but I don't know anything about that.
How many times will the Patriots 28-3 be mentioned? Over 0.5 minus 700, under 0.5.
Over.
Just because of Shanahan?
I mean, it's just like what would the price have to be on this for? Like, how many times would it have to be for you to not bet the over? Like 2.5?
I guess so, because wasn't that game done by the Fox crew as well? Like, wasn't the last time that Buck and Aikman did the game?
Well, that I don't know, but it's going to be referenced on the first 49ers drive, and Aikman's going to say, Kyle Shanahan, 28-3, but he's really done a heck of a job bouncing back, yada yada. And then it's going to be mentioned whenever the 49ers are trailing.
Result of first coach's challenge: play stands, play overturned.
So we talked about this last night on the Takecast too, and we decided that all of like the coaching fail props are good bets because Andy Reid is involved. So like first coach's challenge, Chiefs, first call is not overturned. You bet that. Like first timeout taken, Chiefs. All of those are good bets because of Andy Reid.
Oh, here's one. Total Donald Trump tweets on February 2nd. Over 13.5 is the over-under. That's got to be under, right?
I don't follow him. I don't follow him.
How do you not follow Trump? He's the #1 Twitter follow.
Does he tweet like a ton?
I don't feel like he tweets that. But I mean, I don't know if he ever cause I wouldn't see if he reply tweets to people unless I followed both. So maybe he does a lot of that, but I don't think that he does. Like today, 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 4 so far today.
That feels like a lot of tweets.
It does, but I mean, the over-under is 12.5.
This probably again would be like if I don't feel super
13.5.
I probably won't bet it. 13.5 is a lot.
I would like someone to run the numbers on the last time Trump tweeted over 13.5 times in a day. It's not like he's going to be live tweeting the Super Bowl, and he can't be impeached on a Sunday because Congress is at a session or the Senate is at a session. So, what's he going to be talking about besides fake news?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the under does seem better than not here.
I'm going to throw that on the list. Trump under. Are there any other Trump ones? What will happen first in the game, a touchdown or a sack? I'd say touchdown.
Yeah, but the sack is favored.
Yes, the touchdown is -115.
Yeah, so I would take the sack.
What will be the this is the S&P 500 stuff. What will happen to the price of Bitcoin? Bitcoin is less at the game's end, is the underdog right now to Bitcoin is more than the game's end.
I mean, assuming that many people are wagering on these using their offshore sportsbook, betting on under would be stupid of you to bet under because you're hoping that your payout method appreciates whilst you're gambling.
Any take on the color of the Gatorade poured on the winning coach?
It's gonna be purple. There's inside info. It opened at like plus 1,200 on the offshores.
It's -120.
Yeah, so someone found out.
I mean, they could always.
I bet
they could change it.
I don't know. I think it's like it can't be red. I think I heard like red Gatorade is like no longer on the sidelines at all. Because of some rule about blood or something. I don't know. People get real serious about these Super Bowl props, dude.
Hey, there's so many of them. It's ridiculous. Will Andy Reid coach the Super Bowl in a Hawaiian shirt? -10,000 for no.
Yeah, I mean that's not going to happen. So is that a two-sided market? Can you bet? Yes.
You can bet yes plus at 14-1. You can also bet on this. Actually has worse odds, like better odds for the better for no than him wearing the Hawaiian shirt. Is will Andy Reid eat a cheeseburger before the end of the Super Bowl broadcast?
I mean, that's funny. At least it'd be a fun sweat. I mean, he's not going to happen.
And will Dave Portnoy get kicked out of the Super Bowl? Yes, plus 450.
Is he even allowed in? Is he even there?
I have no idea. If he says he's going, I don't think he's allowed in an NFL stadium, so that would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think he's allowed.
If you found out that he was, you'd probably want to bet the yes on that.
Yeah, if he like Instagrams or whatever that he's there, I would bet yes.
Will the Fox broadcast mention the point spread or the total during the broadcast?
Yeah, Buck will do that.
You think so?
It's not as much of a lock as like Al Michaels.
Yeah, but Al Michaels won't do it. He'll talk around it. I think this has to be like specifically like the total for this game is 54.5.
I mean, this feels like more likely to happen than not, but I guess I watch a lot of these games on mute, which I think you and I have talked about before. You do too.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm wrong.
Will either team not punt during the game?
No. San Francisco will punt in this game.
You don't think they'll punt at all?
No, I'm saying they will.
They will. Will either team not punt during the game? If you bet yes, it's plus 650.
Yeah, that's horrible odds. I feel like for me to wager on this, it'd have to be like 20-1.
Yeah. Will there be a flea flicker attempted in the game? Plus 175 for yes.
I love this bet. I love over 2.5 players to throw a pass, over 2.5 players to complete a pass. I love all of those wagers.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
This is not on every book.
How many wardrobe changes for Jennifer Lopez? How many times will Alex Rodriguez be shown during the halftime show? Will any of the Fly Girls from In Living Color make an appearance?
Was it In Living Color like the Jim Carrey Saturday Night Live show from like the 80s?
Oh, you are young, aren't you? It's from the early 90s. It's like the Wayans Brothers variety show. But yes, they were the dancers on that, and Jennifer Lopez, that's how she was introduced to the world.
How interesting. I mean, dude, I am young, but I'm like fake young because I'm 27, but I like spend most of my time like doing spreadsheets and reading books. So it's like pretty fake young.
Yeah, it does seem that way. So last one. You ready for this? This is a yes or no question. Will Shakira and Jennifer Lopez both twerk during the halftime show?
Aren't they like in their 50s?
Yeah, probably.
I feel like the no is the
twerking knows no age, Davis.
Yeah, I feel like no is a good bet there. I feel like they're going to just be pretty classy.
Yeah, no is minus 250. Yes would be plus 170. I'd like to see who has to actually judge these. That would be the worst part about releasing all these stupid props is like having someone to have to pay attention to this stupid stuff.
I mean, these guys are like the guys. I mean, I don't know about like the DraftKings Sportsbook and some of these other guys, but like some of the offshore sportsbook guys, like they just have Twitter accounts and you can talk to them.
Yeah, I know the guy from Bodog and Bovada. Like, I've interacted with him a few times.
You guys have the same name, first name.
We do have the same first name. This is true. Shout out to him. But
yeah, so right, that's funny.
Let's recap here then. Some of our favorite props. Here are the ones that Cust gave me and Jeff gave me from the Wednesday show, which I recommend everyone go back and watch. So Cust has over Jimmy Garoppolo, 4.5 rushing yards. Over Mahomes, 32.5 rushing yards. No safety, minus 1,500. Tails, minus 110. And Kyle Juszczyk, over 1.5 catches. First play pass, and over 5.5 sacks. I actually really like under 5.5 sacks, to tell you the truth.
Under 5.5 sacks. I like that too. Yeah.
Jeff has no defensive touchdown. Juszczyk over 1.5 catches. Juszczyk over 12.5 yards.
Jeff strikes me as such a Juszczyk guy.
Oh yeah, he's fired up for it.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, that's such a lock.
He has first half under 27, and he also gave out Dustin Johnson plus Kansas City money line. All
right. There we go. I mean, I bet, dude, do you want me to run through some of these that I've bet?
Yeah, run through the ones you like the best.
So the bets that I truly like the most are the Damian Williams rushing overs and the Emmanuel Sanders rushing overs. Some of the fun ones that I like are McCole Hardman anytime touchdown, Blake Bell first touchdown scorer, roughing the passer will be called plus 115, over 2.5 players to throw a pass, over 2.5 players to complete a pass. And there was one other one that I liked. And the Emmanuel Sanders matchup bets. So like Emmanuel Sanders versus Travis Kelce versus Debo versus D-Rob versus McCole Hardman. Because I just really like Sanders in this game.
All right. So I am going to go with Phoenix, Waste Management Phoenix Open, hole-in-ones more than roughing the passer penalties. I think that's push it worse. I think it's my favorite bet of all of them. That's minus 120, so I'll play that. And I'll play that Zion versus Zion points, rebounds, and assists over San Francisco total points. That's minus 140. I still like it anyway. And the other ones, DeMarcus Robinson, first touchdown, 33-1. Kyle Juszczyk under 12.5 receiving yards, minus 120. Emmanuel Sanders over 44.5 receiving yards, minus 120. And Emmanuel Sanders over 3.5 receptions, plus 120. Those are going to be my plays.
Sounds like a pretty good card. The one that I'm looking for, I'm trying to find this one on my book, is that Zion Williamson one that we talked about. That is the best bet that we found.
You think so? I think I like that Phoenix Open one.
No, I mean that one seems fine, like probably a push at worst, and I guess maybe from like an expected mean that one is better. But this Zion one feels like just like perfect to me.
All right, give me a prediction for the game.
The Kansas City Chiefs win this game 35-28, and Damian Williams scores 2 touchdowns
and wins the MVP at 25-1,
and wins the MVP at 25-1.
All right. Davis Mattek, at Davis Mattek on the Twitter box, at Daily Roto and Sports Grid if you want to find the content. The Takecast is the name of the podcast. When are we going to do one of those again?
What do you got going on this upcoming week?
Yeah, shows.
You want to come on? You want to come on and shoot the shit?
Maybe 2 weeks, because I got Oscars next week, and that's going to like take some research.
All right, you got the Oscars. I don't do that, so I will leave that to you, and then you can come on.
All right, cool. I'm Pat Mayo. You can follow me on Twitter at @ThePME, same as Instagram, same as Facebook. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast if you want to get into a draw for 100 DraftKings dollars. So you do that. You download all those episodes, to really juice up the download count. You leave a 5-star review, DraftKings handle, and something you like about the show. Boom. You're in that draw. Smash the like button for the video. Leave your DraftKings handle in the comment section. Tell me your favorite prop on the board if you want to get into a draw for 20 DraftKings dollars. Winners announced for that on Monday's Pat Mayo Experience. And like I mentioned, if you go to dailyroto.com, want to use their DraftKings optimizer, look at some of these props, or just compare out the projections, use the promo code THEPME and get yourself a discount. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. Enjoy the Super Bowl, win some cash, get so drunk you can't stand up. I don't know. Whatever you enjoy to partake in, eat all the food, whatever it is. But let's win the cash and enjoy the game. I'll see you next time.
Mayo Experience! Experience!